I'm here today with Eric Leach of the West Ealing Centre Neighbourhood Forum. We're here today at a key heritage site along West Ealing High Street. Many of you will know this as the old Woolworths building. Speaking of the facade of the building, firstly, Eric, could you, given that the Art Deco buildings are few and far between in the local area, particularly given the closure a number of years ago of Ealing Cinema, could you tell us, just speaking of the facade, how integral this is to the sort of the character, the unique flavour of the borough, and what helps it to stand out?
Well, of course, in previous years, West Ealing Centre rivaled, or in fact was more important than Ealing Broadway Centre as a shopping centre. And one of the key sites was the building in 1926 of this beautiful Art Deco frontage of the Woolworths building. Woolworths, a large part of many people's lives. Their mothers worked there, the children went there to buy their sweets, and so it was an anchor site for the centre of West Ealing. And of course it lasted until the financial crisis and the worldwide recession in 2008, when it closed, as well as a lot of other Woolworths buildings.
Could you tell us about what's actually currently planned for the building?
What is planned, a local large property developer wants to knock it down and build 14-storey tower block of flats. Okay, they don't seem to want to entertain the idea of building the flats and retaining the frontage, possibly because it costs them too much money, or possibly because they don't have any feeling of the heritage value, of the civic pride that people have about the history of this place.
And speaking about the retail services provided along the street, over the past 2 decades, since I've in fact lived here, I've seen WH Smith move, I've seen Marks & Spencer's move, Topshop as well, just to name a few. What do you think, in terms of what's actually being built here, do you think that for the locals, what we're actually losing out on is made up for by what they're actually gaining?
Well, of course, the retail landscape has changed dramatically, particularly over the last 20, 30 years. Because of Westfield, Ealing Broadway has been downgraded, and really because of the money and the emphasis that's been put on Ealing Broadway, then West Ealing has been downgraded as well. And there hasn't really been much support at a local town level or a London level to actually enrich this as a retail environment.
Of course. And speaking of the residential side which is being built over here, do you know anything about how affordable they'll be? How many affordable apartments will exist?
Well, of course, the current housing strategy from the government is to really eliminate social homes to rent. We have so-called affordable homes. Some of them will be affordable, but not affordable to many people that I know. The majority of them will be luxury flats which will probably be sold abroad and possibly never occupied because they're just investment assets.
Well, as I've mentioned before, it doesn't really seem as though it is serving the local community. But on another related subject, obviously these drastic changes are not just going to affect retail, but in regards to the parking situation, surely what's being implemented here is going to drastically change things there as well. Do you know anything on that front?
Well, you potentially got a nightmare situation building up. I mean, just behind the buildings over there, you've got a new Middle Eastern style mosque being built, which will ultimately cater for 3,000 worshippers. That's a no-car development. The BHS building, for which 136 flats are being built and demolition has just started, is a no-car development. And no doubt the A2 Dominion demolition of Woolworths and the 118 flats will be a no-car development. It's as though the car doesn't exist. I've suggested to the council that if they're so anti-car parks, why don't we remove them all? In fact, why don't we take away the huge car park that Waitrose has got and see how long they can survive without a car park? Or the huge Lidl car park in Hamwell. Let's take that away from Lidl's. Let's see how long Lidl survives.
Well, on that basis, the entire scheme seems fairly poorly thought out, if I may say.
Yeah, but the real problem is the planning system. The planning system allows for this. The planning system allows for property developers, very often in league with planning officers who seem very, very enamoured and close to property developers, to be able to build what they want. And if the council complains or votes against it, then there's a right of appeal by developers, but not by citizens. So the threat of an appeal would cost the council a lot of money. So it's hard to see what is going to stop people just building tower blocks full of luxury flats. What is going to stop it?
Well,
It will have to be a change in the law.
Of course, and then I have to ask, how much have local residents or even the forum been consulted on these plans?
Well, we've spent 3 years creating a town centre plan here, which the council is now changing at the last minute to be its own plan, maybe which makes a farce of the Localism Act, which created the opportunity for local stakeholders to create a plan. So again, the Localism Act legislation allows a council that doesn't want to cooperate with local stakeholders to change it into a plan they want and possibly make changes to suit developers rather than suit the needs of the people who live and work here.
It seems as though residents should be getting more involved. Once they're, made aware of what's actually going on here, they need to get involved to actually affect, the council's vision of what's going to happen to Ealing. How can local residents get involved?
Well, it's really hard for them because planning law isn't something you can pick up with a quick read in an evening. The whole notification of plans, the whole bureaucracy around it, the planning committee meetings, only one person can speak for 3 minutes. It's very, very hard. The only hope is that groups get together, like West Ealing Neighbours, like West Ealing Centre Neighbourhood Forum, and Save Ealing Centre, which is 26 groups. But then, without a change in the planning law, unless you have people in the local authority who have a genuine vision for creating balanced communities, then it's just going to be very hard and very frustrating. I'm not advocating direct action, but some people are.
Well, as for the viewers watching this, where would you recommend they go to research what's actually going on? Any websites?
Well, if they live in West Ealing and they use West Ealing Centre, they should look at the West Ealing Centre website, which is wecnf.org. West Ealing Neighbours has a website. West Ealing Neighbours has a blog, and there's a new online site being developed now called My West Ealing, which I think will develop into a site where there'll be a genuine dialogue between citizens about how they want their neighbourhood to develop, what they like and what they don't like. You have to put some effort in to find out what is being planned and what the process is to objecting to it. For example, here we've started a petition. We have 840 signatures currently of people who don't want that facade to be removed. Now, according to the official bureaucracy, we have to have 1,500 before the council will take it seriously. But we're still collecting signatures. You can go to our website, the West Ealing Neighbours website, and sign the petition, or you can sign it here with Dean at Jess Flowers. He collects signatures. Where we're standing now is the nearest thing we've got to a village square in the centre of our town. We have Dean, who's the centre of all information and gossip, and also sells really good flowers. We have the library down there. We have a sheltered home for the elderly. We have a man who comes here and sells ice cream in the summer and burgers in the winter, and we have Sainsbury's here, and we have some space, and we have sit-down spaces. The council recently tried to get rid of that little area there, which Dean looks after, where a lot of people sit down with their shopping and chew the fat.
So as Eric's mentioned, please do check out the website. If you do want to get involved, come along here, just give your signature. It's not too much to ask, and hopefully the council will at least listen to what local residents want and give us the change that we need.